we're on the hour. We'll have some folks joining us, but maybe we can get started. That sounds good. I'll introduce us all and a little bit about what we do, and then I just have a bunch of questions for you all. And today, we'll be discussing mental health and fitness. My name is Eddie Qureshi. I'm the founder and CEO of Valorant Health, and our team focuses on providing mental health, behavioral health resources to underserved communities across the country. And now with our wellness benefits, we're expanding to folks even around the world. As somebody who has family all across the world, that's a fantastic place and something that's near and dear to my heart. Also joining us as panelists today, Patrick, Khalil, thanks so much for joining. Khalil Herbert, who is a running back for the Chicago Bears, and before that he played college football for Kansas before transferring to Virginia Tech. I hope everything I'm saying is correct, you guys. If I'm not, feel free to jump in.
Good. It's all accurate.
Patrick Taylor here is a running back as well. I just get along better with running backs. That's what seems to be the pattern here for Green Bay Packers. And before he joined Packers, he played college football at Memphis. Again, Patrick, hopefully I got all that right.
Spot on.
Fantastic. Well, before we jump into this too much, I want to take a second and just talk about how cool it is that we have, three men of color here talking about mental health, right? It's something that different communities, there's different amounts of stigma around it. So I appreciate you guys talking about this in this open format. We're going to talk about it from a specific look to, how mental health is more of a journey than a destination, as our chief medical officer always says here. And on the topic of fitness, it's heavy, and we're going to discuss mental health a little bit. And it can be daunting as well. But, the way we think about it is in three stages of mental health. There's prep, there's action, and then the actual maintenance of how do you keep it alive. So Khalil, I want to start with you here and say, preparation is a big part of being an athlete. When you put your, what you put into your mind and body and what you do with your day, prepping for the upcoming season, as we were just talking about before this kicked off. Can you share, how do you kind of prepare your mental state for getting ready for, the challenges that come up?
Really kind of starting off at the beginning of the day. I'm a man with faith, so I get in my devotional, but just taking that time, I feel like, whether it's taking 10 minutes in the beginning of the day, starting your day right, make sure your mental's right. When you get to the facility or on your drive to work, I don't really listen to music in the morning. So that's kind of me, preparing myself for the day, kind of going through my checklist of things I got to get done throughout the day, at work, after work, and just I take those 10, 15 minutes when I get up and 10 minutes when I'm driving to kind of get myself ready for the day.
That's fantastic. And Patrick, I want to come to you for a second as well around what are your best practices when you said to prepare yourself in your mental state?
So typically, I like to do the same thing, getting ready in the morning when that alarm hits. I like to throw on some gospel music. I like to jam my gospel music and listen to that when I'm getting ready, and with my drive over to the facility and the stadium and whatnot. Like to start off the evening with a dip in the cold tub, because I also feel like that that helps me get my mind right as well. And then I take 10 to 15 minutes after that to get into my meditation and mindfulness. I like to we have a mindful and a meditation room here at Green Bay, so I like to use that particularly before meetings or games even, to take that 10, 15 minutes to practice my mindfulness and stuff like that. So I would say those are the things that help me get ready for the day.
Absolutely. Thank you both for sharing. Some of these things are hard to talk about, and we talk about it in context of different things, sports like we're talking about, or meetings. Patrick, as you mentioned as well, And, but really it's about life. How do you bring these things into your everyday in a sense and kind of try to stay on top of them as much as possible, right? Like these are heavy things. Sometimes life comes at you a little bit harder than others. So, these are good things to be able to keep in mind as we continue to move forward. One of the things, I just want to mention, we will be opening up our Q&A section. So as our attendees join, feel free to drop in questions. We'll have some time at the end and we'll talk about them. But, moving on to the next piece, which is, that preparation, so important. Now, turning into action, some of this, Patrick, you already mentioned, but how do you think about, mental health as kind of in terms of almost like fitness, almost like a practice? How do you try to build it into your, everyday routine and stay with the discipline?
Yeah, I mean, mental health is a big thing. I can definitely feel a change when I'm not really doing it as much. Like sometimes in the off season when I'm not writing in my journal or when I'm not doing my meditation practice, I definitely feel like a difference. Rather than when I'm in season or during this time now where I'm able to journal and also do my meditation practice. I definitely feel a difference throughout the day. Being present, being grateful, having a sense of gratitude throughout the day, and not just going through the day, right? So having that mindfulness, it's like it's a big thing to have that mindfulness and be present in the place that you are right now or currently.
No, absolutely. And, you brought up a great point. And Khalil, I want to bring this over to you, which is, there are, as Patrick mentioned, there's being in the present moment. It's such a big piece of mental health, about mindfulness, about taking that time for yourself. When there are so many distractions on the day to day, how do you stay focused and, continue to make this room for your mental health?
I think it really starts with just getting in a routine. Kind of finding a way that you can get 10, 15 minutes throughout the day, finding where it fits in your schedule. And then just keep doing it. As you keep doing it, it becomes a habit. So like me, my routine is in the morning. So just being able to do that every day. Like he was saying, off season is a little bit harder because you're not in that same routine, but like now you get back up to your wherever you're going and you're back at work and you get back into that routine and you can incorporate it more. So really just finding that routine that works for you. Some people might have lunch breaks or at the end of the day, right when they get home. So really just finding that routine, I feel like helps me.
Clearly you brought up this really interesting point around routine and how it can be even harder, taking that time on off season, right? Like we're the same people and yet off season, it's just a little bit harder. Just back to you for a second. What do you think it is? Is it the community aspect, the team aspect? Is it just the unstructuredness of, what's happening with the day that makes it a little bit harder?
I definitely would say the unstructuredness because, that time off, you want to relax, not do anything. You finally just get to not do, you get to not do anything. So just really having that mentality. Like the last thing like me personally, I know last thing I'm thinking about is like, what thing can I do to like work my mental health today? Like I'm getting up and it's a day off. I'm like, all right, I'm not doing anything, like chilling. So just really, I feel like that unstructuredness, and then every day you're doing something different. You might be going on vacation, you might be visiting family, you might be working out or at a different time today than you usually do. So it's kind of hard to incorporate that into your routine in the off season, but you can get it done. It's not the same routine that you used to the day to day.
Yeah, absolutely. Patrick, I saw you really agreeing with with Khalil as he was mentioning that. I assume you agree with what he's saying. Do you feel the unstructured nature of it? Is it also, again, like you have other folks that are going through the exact same routine around you. Does that play a role in it at all for you?
I mean, Khalil was spot on. I mean, you get a change of setting, with being, in your particular area, for 8 months. I mean, the last thing you think about is, oh man, let me write in my journal, or oh man, let me take this time to meditate. Um, I do feel like sometimes we do meditate unconsciously, where we take a time to sit down and take a deep breath, or take time to have gratitude and things like that. I don't think meditation is just something that you're just sitting in silence, right? Where you're just breathing for like 20 minutes, right? I think meditation could also be, taking 30 seconds of, a deep breath, right? And being mindful of the things. But it's definitely hard in the off season when you change the setting and you're no longer, in your particular area, and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna just go chill in the pool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's pretty tough.
No, I agree with what you're saying. As somebody myself who didn't immediately take to meditation and mindfulness, can you guys remember, Patrick, let's start with you, when you kind of came across it, and when did you decide that it was something that would be a good thing to incorporate, in kind of the day to day for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my senior year, I got hurt first game of the season. Um, I ended up tearing a ligament in my foot, a leg sprain ligament. And make a long story short, um, as I'm going through the recovery process, I had a guy by the name of Stephen Mizell encourage me to um, start to journal, and be mindful of how I'm feeling, not just physically but also mentally in that particular moment. Going through that time, it was a struggle. It was tough. Um, with the uncertainty of it all, not being able to play, and things like that, not feeling like myself. So I would say definitely back in 2019. 2019 is when I really started to take a grasp of jotting down in my journal. I wasn't really into like meditating other than like praying or something like that. But I was jotting down stuff, journaling in my journal about what I'm feeling in that particular moment, how I'm feeling, or I'm frustrated, or I'm upset, things like that. So
No, that's great. Thank you for sharing. I know those are some of the hardest moments, and it sounds like finding those mechanisms that work for you as well. Uh, Khalil, how about you? Was there like a particular point where you were like, I need to incorporate some of these things and be more structured for the world that is so unstructured, or how did that kind of come about for you?
For me, it was kind of over the course of about a year. I mean, like the middle of 2020, COVID, kind of just having all that free time to do everything. So kind of that's when I started kind of tapping into it, and taking that time for myself to kind of just reflect every day. I mean, you had nothing else to do. And then 2020, as I came into the league and became a rookie, just really mentally checking on myself, making sure I was straight in the head, making sure, um, you know, just kind of checking on my well-being. And as things go on, rookie trying to make the team and trying to get in the league and trying to figure out any way to get on the team. Um, it's a lot of not pressure, but I mean, I guess you could say pressure, but it's just a lot. It's a change of pace. You're away from your family, or it's a lot of different things and changes going on. So really would take it some time. I think between 2020, 2021, that was kind of it for me. Just kind of realizing it and allowing myself to feel whatever I'm feeling and kind of go from there and understand that, I got to take time for myself before anything else to make sure I'm okay.
Guys, I don't know about you two. I'm just loving this discussion. It's the realness really comes through, like how these journeys, are, it's our lives, right? Like in a sense, you see people's lives being playing out in a very specific way, a part of their lives. And then, the reality of going through it, the pressure, the stress, for example, Khalil, that you even talked about, it's real and it's playing out. And you're looking back now and saying it worked out. And there's some ways, there's ups and downs, but when you're living through it, it can be a lot more challenging when you're not able to look out several years in the future and being like it's all gonna, in a sense, work out, which is I'm glad it did. You both are here with me today and we're having a great time, but it is hard when we're going through it sometimes. Again, kind of moving on to the final stage we talked about earlier on, which is maintaining that level of fitness in a sense. It's that journey aspect. Now, this question is kind of for both of you, so feel free to jump in as you have thoughts, which is, what are some of the misconceptions or stigmas that are associated with, mental health in society or, professional sports as well, and how can the community try to do a better job about addressing them?
I think the stigma behind mental health and speaking what's on your mind and what's on your heart, it could be viewed as being soft, and like especially sometimes in the sport that we play, right? Us as men, we don't want to be vulnerable at times, but I feel like that's the best time when you seek growth and when you seek help. I mean, you're gonna have to be vulnerable and talk to people and let them know how you're feeling, that you're not feeling right, or stuff like that. I think it's that vulnerability piece that's a major thing. So
Yeah, I feel like he hit that right on the head. Like, as I feel like, yeah, one of the biggest things, like as men, is like, you growing up, like, oh, don't show your feelings or don't talk, or like when you're feeling a certain way, just suck it up, or all the things you've heard growing up. So really just that, and I don't know, really just that, and finding a way to talk through it and like realize that it is okay, and that at some point holding things in all the time isn't okay. And I feel like now, especially like when I was leaving college, and I know guys coming in now, they're doing a lot better job of prioritizing mental health for college athletes, and rookie seminars when they come in. So you're starting to see things change, which is a good thing.
Oh, that's fantastic, and definitely gives me hope a lot for the future. Where we're headed. Like, we're not exactly where we want to be, but I think we're definitely starting to head in the right direction. One of the point that always sometimes I find personally baffling is we call this panel mental health fitness, because we thought it's something you work on. It's not something you definitely achieve. But again, being in the sports world, playing at the level that you both do, there's so much, like, nobody's under the misconception that you just got there out of nowhere. You guys work for it, you work hard. You both were talking about before this webinar started that you both are coming from practice and you do this regularly. Why is kind of the physical fitness sometimes treated in such a different way than like mental fitness, which still requires a lot of work and it's kind of a journey? Any thoughts around that?
I mean, I feel like, mental fitness is something that's forgot about. You're always thinking about working out, getting your body right, looking good. But, the mental part is something that for a long time, I feel like was left out. And like I said, growing up, there was suck it up, push through it. You'll be okay. Like, you don't need to talk about it. And like now we're getting to a level where, it's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to talk about, um, I know like in our locker room, like guys are okay with talking about and opening up about what's going on, or, if they're not feeling right, or, guys checking on each other. So I really feel like, you just got to be in an environment, and, the times are changing. So you could see that, people are starting to realize that you can ask these questions. You can ask somebody like, are you okay? Like, no, actually, are you okay? And, you know, I feel like people will be able to answer it, and well, we'll be able to have a conversation from that. So
Absolutely. So physical fitness versus mental fitness, Patrick.
Yeah. So like, I mean, like you said earlier, I mean, mental fitness. I mean, I feel like it's a marathon, um, not a sprint, right? Because at some point you're gonna lose your physical, but mental is something that you continue to build, like day to day. Um, Having that self awareness and that mental awareness of, hey, like I'm not feeling like myself today, or being able to seek that help that you need, or whether it is checking up on someone, um, and you see they're not being their self today, having that, what, sympathy, is that the right word? Yeah.
Empathy?
Yeah. So having that towards your teammate, towards your brother, or towards a friend, I think that's a major part of mental health.
Yeah, Patrick, you brought up a really I find this, I'm a little biased. Our team focuses a lot on this as well. It's that connectivity piece. It's not just about, what you need. And like we talk about self-care, and it's such an important component. But I think how it plays out is we have people in our lives that we sometimes rely on for support, or are provide support to. You know, any thoughts around like how does that play out for you, or how have you seen it play out generally in maybe sports, your team?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that connection and that bond is a main key and main part of, uh having a teammate, or being a leader, right? Um because if someone knows that you care about them, you're able to give that constructive criticism, or you know um give them pointers on their game, and them not get, all up in their feelings, right? So like, you being able to ask someone, hey, how are you doing? Hey, how's your mom? I know your mom's not feeling well. How's she doing? you know Making sure you're able to, reach those guys on that type of level, where you can maybe inspire them to bring out the best in them, because you don't know what they're going through. You never know what someone's going through in that particular moment. So I mean, that's why I feel like having also self-awareness, but awareness towards others, seeing how people are going throughout their day. I mean, I like to do that. I think that's a big part of like me, in general. I like to check up on people, because you never know what people are going through, um, and like how their day's going. I mean, you can change someone's day just by hello, or something like that. So I think that's a main thing. That connection is big, for sure.
Patrick, I'm going to say that you inspired me. After we're done with this, I'm probably going to go check up on some people and see how they're doing. No, seriously, like it's wonderful. It's nice to have that reminder, and nice to have that piece. And Khalil, you and I, on a fateful day in Arizona, spent a long time talking about the same piece. But I want to bring it up here, which is how do you, again, the support networks, people in our lives, how we give support and receive support. How does that play out for you? And are you in a certain sense like your team as well?
yeah, I'm kind of the same way, like with teammates, my family. Um, when my family, I got a certain day of the week, I pretty much call all of them, as I'm driving back, or if I'm like running errands, like I'll call them in the car on the way, just checking in 5-10 minutes. And I do the same thing with my teammates. But like you said, just having self-awareness and then awareness of those around you. And I feel like, if you're self-aware and you're mindful of things that's going on with yourself, you're able to be aware of, others, if you feel their energy's off or they're not smiling the same today, or, you could just feel like something's off with them. Don't be afraid to check on that person, or if somebody crosses your mind, don't be afraid to shoot them a text. But just having that self-awareness and awareness of others, I feel like goes a long way in making sure that you're good and the people around you are doing good too.
I swear I can already feel my mom's gonna call me right after this and be like, Khalil, he's so busy and he's so cool and he calls his mom every day, every week, and why don't you do the same? So I appreciate that. It's a good reminder. I'm gonna try to take that as I move forward as well. This is the stuff that I had for you. I'm gonna switch over to some questions that kind of came in and touch on those as well, which is social media. We at this point know it plays such a role in people's perceptions and their influences mental health. How do you think it can possibly be used to promote maybe positive things around taking care of yourself and other people, and like the positive aspects around mental well-being? Maybe Patrick, we can get started with you here.
Yeah, I personally, with social media, I try not to let it consume my life. As far as us being athletes, it's easy for us to hop on Twitter and a Packers fanatic page tweets, "Oh, Patrick Taylor fumbled the ball. He's a bum," right? So it's easy for me to read that and take it to heart. But at the same time, like in that sense, like I know who I am and I'm gonna be me at all times, right? So I try not to um filter in that outside noise of let me go on Twitter for validation, even when I'm doing good, right? Because I mean, all that noise it comes and goes. So I try not to let Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or whatever social media control or dictate how I'm feeling um, in any particular moment. So
It's a great reminder. Khalil, how about you? Social media and mental health.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I have all my apps filtered, so if I don't follow you, if we're not friends or family, like you can't at me, I won't see anything. Like so, I've had a filter like that since college. So that's kind of a way I do that. But I also, you got to pick and choose kind of when to get on the apps or not get on the apps, but never let it consume you. You know, I I kind of try, like sometimes I'll try to post like some things, just like things that help me. I don't know if they'll help anybody, but if they help one person, I'll post it on my story every now and then. I got some friends that do the same thing. So like that's one way I use it to kind of help share something that's helped me mentally or whatever it was. If something that's helping me, I'm gonna share it. But definitely never try to let it consume you, and really blocking out the negative stuff as best as possible. But definitely got to know when and when not to. Like, if you're not having a good day, if you're drained, it's probably not the best day to, just be on your phone, be on social media. You might got to take some time for yourself and just relax. So definitely being aware of what's going on with you.
I feel like I could use a meditation of you both just reminding me to take time for myself. And maybe that's the next thing we'll all work on. No, it's great. Like it's that empowerment. It's having somebody else kind of tell you, and it's connecting on kind of a human level almost, where even if it just helps one person to kind of hear somebody else talk about their experiences, it can be so powerful. Just last one here, I'll close this out, which is, what I personally love about sports, regardless of what it is it's kind of a great equalizer. People from all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts of socioeconomic status follow it in whatever sports it is that they're following. It's kind of people are able to participate in something together as a collective. And, one of the things that we focus on a lot is how do you make healthcare, mental health specifically, more equitable for everybody. And, I just wanted to see if you guys have any thoughts around how do we continue to potentially even use these platforms of sports or just, other technology and stuff, any things to get the resources to the right people, regardless of where they are, across the country or across the world. I know this is a big questions here,
Yeah.
but if you have any thoughts.
I feel like, the biggest thing you could do is going to meet people where they are. Some people might not have phones or computers or, access to people that know about certain apps and certain platforms. So, go on to those areas, like community centers, boys and girls clubs, whatever it is, that people might not have the access to those things. So I feel like just going to where they are, showing them that you care, and being able to present the information in a different light than everybody else that's able to access it can get. So
no, I 100% agree with Khalil's statement as far as having those things accessible to the less fortunate people who don't have a computer or who don't have a iPhone, who can't use those particular apps that we're able to use, things like that. Being able to meet them where they are, like Khalil said, and give them access to that knowledge of mental health and the tools to use when they're not feeling a certain way or someone in their family isn't feeling up to it today or things like that. So I think being able to meet those meet them where they are is definitely will be a big thing for sure.
I appreciate that. That was some wonderful advice and great insight from both of you. We've taken up so much time. Thank you both for sharing all those wonderful thoughts around here, around those insightful questions, and your insightful answers to those questions, and show us that regardless of what our kind of day-to-day looks like, that we can prioritize our mental health, and again, kind of be there for other people, along with taking, without letting it also eat up what we might need on a particular day as well. So kind of those healthy boundaries, but also that empathy, Patrick, that you brought up, kind of as how we structure our day-to-day. Thank you both so much for participating in this. I appreciate it immensely. Thank you for using your platforms and all the wonderful things you do to help spread this really important message around mental health, as we are in Mental Health Awareness Month, and being just great folks to talk about this with. Any last thoughts before we close out for today?
just appreciate you having us.
You guys are fantastic. It's for me, it's kind of like I feel like I'm catching up with old friends. So thank you, seriously, making my day a little bit better. And I will credit you both when I call my mom later today and say this is from because of Khalil and Patrick, and I'll pass that along.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks everybody for joining. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your Monday.
As well.
Thanks. You too.